Hi, my name is Sophie Rossman. I'm an intern with the 2020 International Climate Action Challenge. Today, we're going to be talking with Franziska Elmer of the Sargassum Podcast, which is an international team. She's joining us from Switzerland. We're really excited to share their story with you about their challenge and starting their podcast. So, Franziska, if you could please introduce yourself and tell us your 90-day challenge goal.
As you said, my name is Franziska. I am from Switzerland, but I am a marine biologist, so I work a lot in the Caribbean. And together with my team, our 90-day challenge was to start producing a podcast about an algae called Sargassum.
Why did you want to start or launch an initiative and kind of participate in this particular challenge?
We wanted to start the podcast because this algae gets onto the beaches in the Caribbean in really large masses since 2011. And it's a new phenomenon. People are trying to manage it, trying to make products out of it. There's a lot of negative effects when it lands because it gets really high, like loads of it, which is bad for the environment and for people and health and tourism. But the local communities, they often don't know much about what's happening on other islands, what have scientists figured out so far, what have other entrepreneurs figured out, how are they managing other islands. So that was why we wanted to do a podcast, to highlight all these different people and highlight the different stakeholders and make an archive of solutions and ideas of how to deal with this new phenomenon. It's a problem, but also opportunity. So yeah, it goes in a lot of ways. And the reason why I decided to do this as part of the challenge was because I heard about Joan's challenge and I thought it was really cool. And I wanted to support her and adding challengers to it by being one myself, because it's always best to do something as an example and then other people will follow. And the other part was I knew it would get us on track. And I think we wouldn't have had this many interviews as we have done now and gotten this far if we didn't do the challenge. We would have probably dropped the ball here and there and not be as far as we are now.
So what was your experience like during the 90 days? Some ups, some downs?
It started quite interesting because as soon as the challenge started, I was going on a 2-week vacation. And I already had a team together, but they weren't really ready to meet weekly without me being the pushy person to be like, okay, let's meet, let's do stuff. And then I came back and we had to find momentum again, and it took a long while to do. But then once we finally found momentum and figured out who of the team can actually put in enough time to get this done, we started going really fast. So we started making the logo, we started making the website, we started messaging people to do interviews, and we're like, okay, let's start doing these interviews, let's see how we are doing. We submitted a grant proposal and it's going really good since then. We still don't know if we are getting money from the grant proposal. That's up in the air, but it will take its time. But the interviews are going good and we're hoping to produce them and then launch them in January.
That's so exciting. So as far as your team members go, how many did you have at the start and how many do you have now?
I think at the start we were about 6 people and 3 advisors. And now we still have the 3 advisors, which are not really core team members, but they're always there for us to ask stuff. And we have about 4 core team members right now. So it has actually dropped, even though we got new team members, just because there was some changes and we had to figure out who actually has time, and people's schedules have changed and they got into new projects. And they may be joining later on when they have more time to actually be more active in this.
Yeah. And then similarly for your partnerships, how many did you develop throughout the challenge?
We We have now a strong partnership with Marine Conservation Without Borders. One of our team members is the founder of that organization, and our website is on their website. So we are literally becoming a project of that organization, which is really cool, especially since they have a lot of followers on Facebook. So that will help immensely once we start. And otherwise, I think we have a lot of partners. I consider everybody who is doing an interview for us already a partner, because they are taking the time to do that, and they will also likely tell other people about their interview.
Then also, what impact did your initiative have? Both kind of the numeric impact, but also the general impact that you've been having.
At the moment, we have recorded 5 interviews, and we have 3 more scheduled to record until mid-December. And then we're gonna take the time to produce them and start recording again in January, because over Christmas and New Year's, it's gonna be a bit of a down period. At the moment, as an impact, we haven't had that much yet because the episodes are still being launched, they're not out. So we don't know how many people will listen to them, but hopefully we'll get a lot of people to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards, we hope, this is a bit of a stack, so we have a few extra episodes that when we launch, we can publish 3 at once and then publish 1 every week and keep up with interviews. And if we one week don't manage to record an interview or produce it, we have leftover ones to fall back on.
That's awesome. And what parts of the challenge were most helpful to you?
The most helpful parts were that you had to set a specific goal with a date and a time. And ours was to have 10 episodes, which we almost reached, but it's important to just have a goal because we didn't have that before we started with the challenge. And the other really helpful part was the exercise with the 100 partners, because it really gets you thinking of who you could be working with. And we came up with some people we would have never thought of if we didn't take the time to do. So the workbook was really helpful. The check-in sessions on Zoom where we could meet other people, I thought they were really cool and really fun. And then Joan is just awesome. Like, she would just email me with other people and be like, hey, you guys have synergies, you guys should start talking to each other. She's the brains behind all of this. Like, she knows everybody's project, she knows every mentor. She takes the time to do one-on-ones with people and remembers what they were all about, even though it's a lot of us, and connect them to each other. And I think that is super helpful.
And what are your next steps with your initiative?
Our next steps are, we're hoping to produce a trailer to come out sometime in December. And then hopefully sometime in January, we're gonna launch the podcast. It depends a bit now on what's happening with the grant, but probably in the next few weeks, we decide on a date. And then we're gonna start preparing everybody for the launch, like getting our production ready, but also ramping up the social media and make some advertising so everybody knows we're launching.
That's so exciting. How can people support you or join you in launching your podcast?
Definitely come and listen to the podcast. And once we have the podcast launched, share it with your friends, share it on social media so a lot of people see it. And also give it a rating, especially when podcasts first come out. Giving them ratings gets them up into the list of newly discoverable podcasts and gets more people listening to us. So that's really what we need in the beginning, is people rating us, people sharing us, and telling the world about us.
Yeah, definitely. And lastly, what is your advice for others who want to make an impact?
I think the most important thing is to just start and do something. Like, pick a thing and do it, and don't ask for permission. because there's always going to be people who say, oh, this is difficult, this can't work. Have you thought about that? I don't think we can do that. We've never done it. We've always done it this way. Don't listen to them. Just say, no, this is a good idea. I want to do it and try it. And most of the time, it's a lot easier than you think.
That's such great advice. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. For those of you who want to find out more about how to do a challenge yourself or in your community, visit www.climateactionchallenge.net. Thank you so much.